Hello, my name is Gabriel Silva. I speak some languages. Today, I would like to talk about resources for learning German. I'll focus on the resources that I used for learning German. I will go over a bit what I found to be advantages and disadvantages of each approach or method or course that I used, but I won't focus too much on courses and methods that I have already reviewed independently. For example, Rosetta Stone or Pimsleur. I have videos about these. These videos are pretty easy to find on my channel, so I'm going to focus primarily on other resources. When I started learning German, I focused a lot on grammar. Nowadays, I use a somewhat different approach for learning languages, and I discuss a lot of this approach and these strategies throughout my videos. Now, one big difference between the way I learned German and the way that I would learn German now, if I didn't already know it, is the fact that I would focus a lot more on reading and listening right from the get-go to try to develop a good sense for the language itself. Because German grammar can be a bit complex, I don't see too much harm in focusing a bit on grammar for you to get a good grasp of it. However, I find it really important for you to get a lot of exposure to the language, even if the grammar isn't making a lot of sense right away. The more exposure you get to the language, the more the grammar will start making sense. So even if you don't have a perfect understanding of the cases and how the articles change according to them, or how the pronouns change according to the cases, it's okay. You can already get exposure. So one series of books that I used quite a bit that I found helpful to master specific aspects of the grammar were the Practice Makes Perfect books. Okay, and I have this one, German Problem Solver, Master Problem Grammar Areas. They were decent. German Verb Tenses. There are a lot of exercises, and the answers are always in the back. Okay, so I find that really helpful because I want to, of course, see if I'm right or wrong. And German pronouns and prepositions. I struggled a lot with prepositions in German because often I didn't know what case to use with each preposition. And it took me a while to really get to a decent point and know when to use them. So I think that basically these books really helped. One disadvantage of this kind of approach is that it can be a little bit tedious. Often feel a bit burnt out after drilling a lot of these exercises from these books. And also, it's not really easy to internalize all the grammar rules and things that you've done, even through practice. I think that it's really important as well to just try to master concepts using a complementary approach as well. For example, if you want to master a specific aspect of the language, you can use phrases and examples from this book, for instance, put them in flashcards, and review them frequently. That way, you may master the concept a bit more quickly than just with the practice itself. Another book that I used was this Improve Your German book. I think that there's also a more basic one. This is for, I guess, intermediate level. And they have little conversations, and there's an audio that comes with it. And then there are exercises and all sorts of cultural notes and so on. I did find it helpful. Okay, however, this book in particular, I found it a little bit short. Sometimes I found that the conversations were a bit more boring, or perhaps there were conversations that I wouldn't necessarily use. However, there were many conversations that I did find helpful. There were phrases and concepts discussed in the book and practice as well that I found helpful. I'm trying to figure out if there's answers in the back for the questions. Key to the exercises. Yes, there are answers to them. That's good. I also used this Living Language Ultimate German. This was already advanced. I think this would be, although it says advanced, I think that for B1 or B2, maybe C1. No, I think that maybe this is too basic for C1. Did really enjoy this book actually because it has a lot of long conversations. The conversations from this book, I found them to be usually better than the conversations found in your average language book. So I did enjoy the Ultimate German from Living Language. There are many exercises. One downside is that I remember that this book is relatively thin. It looks thick, but a big chunk of it is just the answers to the exercises. Back when I did it, I just felt like there weren't necessarily that many exercises for me to really grasp each concept that was being really presented. But all in all, I really enjoyed the conversations in this book. I also have this gigantic thing, the big yellow book of German verbs. I think that this was helpful because there are all the conjugations, and there's also the usage of the verbs. And I really like that because then you can really see them in context. And there's, 555 fully conjugated verbs. And that's a lot of verbs. So if you master these verbs, I mean, you're probably going to be able to express yourself quite well in German, at least when it comes to verbs. And here at the bottom of the page, you can see that some pages says top 50 verbs. And if you focus on the top 50 verbs, they also have like a lot of sentences here with the usage of the verbs, which I find really, really helpful. You can see them in action. There's many expressions with the verbs. So I really enjoyed this book. And I also have this dictionary. It's gigantic. It says concise, Oxford Duden German Dictionary. I think it was really helpful because, of course there are good online dictionaries, but having a dictionary like this in hand can be quite helpful as you're learning German. The German language is a very rich language. It has a lot of vocabulary, a lot of words that don't necessarily have an equivalent in English or in many other languages. So that's why I find that having a dictionary may be really helpful. And a thick, nice and big dictionary may be more helpful than just like a little one. I finished Duolingo in German, for instance, although I was already fluent at that point. I did find it enjoyable. It's not a bad way to start, but of course it's not going to be enough for you to become fluent in the language. One resource that I always mention that I really like is the website Link, lingq.com. Everybody knows that I'm friends with Steve Kaufman, and I find that it is a great resource for learning German as well as many other languages because of the fact that you can actually go there and get a lot of text with audio. You can read a lot of German, you can listen to a lot of German, and start internalizing the language. So regardless of your level, that's a pretty good resource. And once I reached a decent level in German, I started getting a lot of books in two languages. For example, this one here is in Italian and German. This one here is in Spanish and German, Chinese and German. That way you could be basically practicing both languages at once. Of course, my level in Chinese is lower than my level in German. And you can see Chinese on this side and German on that side. And I have many, many books in French and German, Russian and German. I don't know how easy they are to find on Amazon or anything, but I guess you can go directly to their website to find some books in two languages. If you are at a high basic or in a low intermediate level, of course you can get books in German and English. And in bookstores in Germany, I found many of those as well. But because my level in German was already pretty decent, I opted then to get books in different languages and German. So that's it, my friends. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Danke and good luck learning German.